for you. So you got a lineman blocking on a run play. And it seems like watching these games, he cuts up inside, it's fine. He goes outside, it's holding. What do you do? What are you teaching these guys to do to not get that holding call?
Yeah, there's a couple things like when you're talking about the run game, it's some of it's on the running back. You know, when you're blocking and let's say the defensive lineman's outside and then you still bounce it anyways, a lot of times, you know, as you're engaged with the guy and he tries to escape and there's that tug, the play should have been cut inside and that penalty would have never happened had you kept the ball and, you know, read your landmarks the way you should have. So that's one thing. But yeah, anytime when you're engaged and you feel a D lineman trying to escape opposite where you're blocking them, and that happens in protection, you know, when a quarterback scrambles out, stuff like that. Like, that is really difficult for a lineman because you're blocking, he's bull rushing, there's force against you. All of a sudden it changes, and then they see that. It's just an unfortunate thing that happens. So you just have to immediately try and let go when you feel that change of direction in a D lineman and kind of anticipate it.
Is that something guys can do, or is that?
Yeah, no, it's hard. It's hard, but it's just stuff you just have to understand. Like when you feel that bang, just to let go, because the ball's probably outside of you. So it's tough.
You know, obviously Rashid's been victimized by a couple of those. How do you view his play here through 3 games?
Inconsistent, up and down, and his play has been good, but like you said, those penalties, you know, those things kill drives, and that's something that we really need to improve on, and not just him. He's not the only one that's gotten penalties, but as an offense, I think that's the biggest thing that we need to focus on is just making sure we're playing with good fundamentals. We're focused on that. That way it will eliminate most of those penalties that kill drives.
Tell the tackles about lining up. They're calling, you know, guys being back a little bit. Do they get that much of an advantage by, you know, being a couple inches off the line of scrimmage?
Yeah, you're basically, what we coach them up is, obviously, the crown of your helmet has to be in the belt line of the center. So wherever the guard aligns, when he aligns himself up, your inside foot, as a tackle, has to align with the guard's inside foot. Sometimes the guys lose focus and they look at the outside foot of the guard, and that creeps them back a little bit. But that's something, for whatever reason, they're very picky about right now, calling that. So we just have to make sure we're really dialed into that with how we align on the inside foot of the guard.
Are they looking at the feet, or are they looking at the helmet?
No, I think they're looking at, you know, just making sure a part of your body is within that plane of the center's belt line. So, yeah, that's just something you really have to focus on.
Scale of 1 to 10, how limited has Jordan been in practice this week?
Yeah, it would be too limiting to put a number on how limited he is. So, yeah.
I'm not asking if this is going to happen, but are the wheels turning in your guys' heads because of how Malik has played to maybe think about ideas to get him involved in sub packages if Jordan does play?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're kind of preparing for both scenarios. So I think, you know, you have your Malik game plan and you have your Jordan game plan, and it's just, and there's a lot of similarities, but then there's some differences too. So, yeah, it's kind of just preparing for both and then seeing what happens on a day-to-day basis.
Go ahead, Paul. For a defense that blitzes, shows so many looks, what's the impact of that on the run game's perspective, the challenge?
Yeah, they pose a big challenge because a lot of their fronts, there's just so many guys up on the line of scrimmage, and they're very multiple with their personnels, and they can get a lot of different looks from a lot of different personnels, where it's not a very good look or very favorable to run the ball in a lot of situations. So you just have to really be patient with it and just kind of focus on just your mentality, because there's going to be some bad looks and you just got to get what you can out of them. But they pose a problem. They got smart players. They pressure a lot, and they're very talented across the board. So it's going to be a really big challenge for us this week.
You know, Steno, you were an offensive lineman, you blocked your tail off no matter who you were protecting. I get that. But if Jordan is playing, which I know we don't know, but if he is, he's not going to be at the 100% mobility that he would be if he was fully healthy. So what's the challenge for your guys against a team that leads the league in sacks to make things easier on a guy that's not going to be as mobile as he normally would be?
Yeah, there are a lot of things you got to take into consideration with that. It's whether you can get the ball out of your hands faster, continue to run the ball well. I think that's going to be a big thing, and kind of take the pressure off him. But there's going to be situations where we're going to have to throw the ball, and that's kind of why we're just evaluating the process of his injury and kind of how he looks at practice and stuff to see, can he do those things when he's out there? And that's the biggest thing is, can he run around? Can he make those plays? We don't want to put him out there if he can't. So that's kind of what we're looking at.
I'm sure I'm guilty of oversimplification, but you just did kind of say you've got a Malik game plan and a Jordan game plan. But the stuff that you've uncovered with your Malik game plans, can you carry those now into your Jordan game plans moving forward and make you guys even better because of those tweaks that you made?
Yeah, I mean, they're all things that we've had in our offense. You install it during camp and just talk about it, and then Malik put it to life when we called those plays. So, credit to him. He did a great job, and you see his athleticism. You just see the plays he can make with his feet and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's just one thing. You just got to see how Jordan is running the ball if he's our quarterback this Sunday. So.
Out of the pocket, he's run more than he's thrown it. Is that a safer play for, maybe a quarterback who doesn't have as much experience? You like that, where he's just, hey, I'm not going to force a throw, where I'm under pressure or things like that?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends. But for him, like, you break out of the pocket, you see an opening, go make a play with your feet. Yeah, instead of throwing a ball that may be contested or anything like that. So yeah, I would say definitely you like that for any quarterback, just to go make the play with your feet. Some guys, they kind of wait it out and see if they can find a guy downfield. But, if you're talking about just being safe with the ball and keeping the drives alive and things like that, then yeah, scrambling's never a bad deal.
Throw to Wicks in the corner, the one where he kind of scrambled out to the right, and Wicks was breaking.
Yeah, he came open on that one. But again, it's one of those things that, like, once you're a quarterback, you scan it, you don't see it, and you make that decision. Just go and live with the decision.
Their defense has been great so far this year, but thinking back to December 31st, you got the better of them. Are they somehow drastically different than they were when you played them back then?
Yes, I think they added a few guys in the offseason that have really enhanced their defense. And their back end, they're playing really well. When we played them at the end of the year, they were missing some key DBs that, they have some really good guys in the back end right now. But yeah, it's one of those things, like, this defense puts a lot of pressure on you. And the first time we played them, we didn't execute very well, and we didn't make any plays downfield. And you saw what happened. And then the next game, we played better, we executed, we made some plays downfield. So it just comes down to us making those plays when they're presented to us. So that's going to be the big thing this Sunday, is protecting the ball and making those plays.
Put a lot of pressure on your center because of line calls, or does it?
Yeah, a lot of pressure on everybody. Center for the communication and all that stuff, running backs in protection, tight ends in protection, just everybody who is involved with all of that stuff. Quarterbacks making the calls too. So it's challenging. It's a good scheme.
You want the guys talking?
Oh yeah, everyone has to be on the same page for sure.
I think Sean Ryan performed this past week with the full workload at right guard.
He had his best game. He really did. It was good to see. He did a really good job.
You mentioned that first game against the Vikings. I brought that up to Matt earlier today too. Like, you guys got booed off the field at halftime.
Yeah, it was bad.
I'm just curious what you learned about your guys and maybe your coaching staff too, because when stuff goes that badly, there have probably been teams throughout the league that things have spiraled and not bounced back.
What I learned is we have the right people here in this building to weather adversity. You know, you do that, you have a hard start to a season, you have a bad stretch like we had. There's a lot of organizations, there's a lot of teams that would just fold. And we took it 1 week at a time, didn't flinch, and dug ourselves out of the hole. So I was really proud of that. And again, I've said this before, that was probably the lowest point of the season after that game for all of us, and the way we got ourselves out of it. I was proud of all those guys, coaches and players, for just coming through it.
I know you have to book it from the press box to the locker room, but you definitely heard the booing en route.
Oh yeah, I was booing in my head too. It wasn't good, but yeah, it just comes down, like I said, got to make the plays when they're there. So that's going to be the big challenge, and these guys are a good defense, so we're gonna have our work cut out for us for sure.